Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's you're on the dot, and we have a great show for you today and this evening. Again, wherever you are, or this morning. I'm so excited, and we're going to get right into it. Usually, I do birthdays, and maybe I should do a few shout outs on birthdays. Today's birthday, let me just say, number 35, Mark Churchward. He was my fullback. He was our fullback at Edison High School in Huntington Beach. And he blocked not only for me, but for Kerwin Bell, who was one of the greatest running backs in history. Frank Sire, Mark Boyer. We had some great teams. Dan Cairns, just a great coach. Coach Taylor, Coach Workman, Coach Waters, Coach Purnell. So a shout out to all the Edison Chargers, and a shout out to Rick Bayshore, who is a great UCLA Bruin, who we're going to have on the dot soon to talk about the Edison Quarterback Club. So again, happy birthday, Mark Churchward, and happy birthday to Ben Lawfer, who's was part of KZSU Stanford Sports. And we've got a big game coming up this weekend. It's going to be Stanford versus Cal. They call it the big game. And good luck to Stanford. I got my Stanford hat. So go Cardinal. And we have a special guest who's going to be coming on right now. And we're going to introduce his better half before we introduce him. But he's got a big game, USC, UCLA this weekend. So without further ado, I want to bring in this amazing couple. And I was so excited to meet them at our Las Vegas Raider alumni earlier this year. It was late summer, and it's where I got this wonderful hat, Raider alumni. And I met both Annie and Todd, and I knew Todd because we've got a lot in common. But I had a chance to meet Annie at the Allegiant Stadium, and boy, Todd, you are such a lucky man. So without further ado, I'm going to bring them both on. And Annie goes first. She's going to tell you about her amazing journey from Alaska to shine naturally. So welcome, Annie and Todd Marinovich. Annie Ridgely.
Aloha, Mike. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, I'm just honored and so excited to have the both of you on. And as I said to you behind the curtain, this is very therapeutic for me because I just want to ask a question and then cover it, because both of you have amazing journeys that and let's start with you, Annie. You started in Alaska, but you also mentioned your family's from New York.
Yeah. My mother's family is from New York. My grandmother grew up in the Bronx in Hell's Kitchen, and then my family's now in Long Island and Manhattan. I grew up over on Oahu, actually. So we're on the island of Hawaii, the Big Island, and I grew up over on Oahu, and I made my way to Alaska, and I was there for 20 years before moving back to the Big Island.
Oh, well, I think you're in a great place in the world. I love Hawaii. I first went to Hawaii in 1969, and I was on a swim team, and it was called the Waikiki Rough Water Swim. And I was 9 years old, and they still do it to this day. It's a 2-mile swim. And at 9 years of age, I got in the water and swam from Diamond Head to Waikiki Beach, and I was the youngest participant at 9 years old. So I love Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Do you have any races like that on your island?
Yeah, well, you know what? The Ironman is held here. The World Championship Ironman race is held here. So I just took my daughters to go see the female participants in the World Championship last month.
Oh, wonderful. Well, Annie, what was it like to grow up in Alaska?
Well, I moved there. I started working on commercial salmon fishing boats to pay my way through college. So that's how I was able to get my college degree. And then I bought my own commercial fishing boat and my permit and my license and had a crew and ran my own boat after that. So it was just a beautiful, wild, untamed place to live and incredible people.
It's an incredible
It's an
state. I was
incredible
very
state.
fortunate to play baseball up in North Pole, Alaska.
Oh, right. Yeah. I remember you mentioned that.
Yeah, the North Pole Knicks, Saint Nick, and they had a Christmas a Christmas post office. So when you're a kid and you write to Santa Claus, it goes to the North Pole post office up there in Alaska. So you came. Tell us about your college. What did you study in college, Annie?
Yeah, I studied to be a teacher, a specialist, and then I also have a degree in outdoor education and leadership. So that's what I did when I was at UNC. So the Bears in Greeley, yeah, they specialize in education there. And then my parents had moved to Colorado, so I had some family there at the time. And then I was in Alaska fishing and teaching for 20 years and decided to come back to Hawaii and I bought a farm.
Yes, and I love the name of your farm, Ohana Nut Farm. How did you come up with that?
Well, it's a macadamia nut farm. And so Ohana means family. So I have 4 children and we live on the farm and just have that whole lifestyle. And I met Todd because he was coaching flag football here on the Big Island.
That is so awesome. I think it's great that Todd is coaching, and we're going to get into flag football, Todd, because I've got some great thoughts on flag football, because that's how I got started playing football, and I loved flag football back in the day. But Annie, so Northern Colorado, I love it. I love Colorado, and you got Alaska, and then you met Todd. But tell us about this amazing company called Shine Naturally, which I am going to put on the little ticker tape below because people are going to want to know about your company.
Yeah, so macadamia nuts are Hawaii's third largest export. But what I did, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, and I've been running my own business for 25 years. But what I did was I developed a skincare line. And what I do is I cold press the macadamia nuts into an oil. And so we have a natural, clean skincare that we grow, manufacture, and distribute from the farm.
And I can order this. I can't wait to put the macadamia. I love macadamia nuts. So I didn't realize you could turn that into a topical.
That should tell how good I look, Mike, that I've been used. I've been out in the water far too long and have received a lot of sun damage. But as you can tell, it works with Annie's complexion. But you got to give it a try, Mike.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm actually going to get a little close up here. There we go. So I cannot wait to have that on. And Todd, if you want to get just how am I looking there? So Annie, is there anything else you want to share with our wonderful audience? Because people are tuning in from all over the country. And we got a comment already. Let's see here. Oh, okay. By the way, Christine Illis says, do you remember Christine Illis, Todd?
From
USC. She says she misses us both.
Wow.
Hi, Christine.
Very cool. Hi, Christine.
She's tuning in. So, Annie, tell us about, anything else that perhaps Shine Naturally. Is there anything that is on top of mind before we go to your right and talk with Todd?
Yeah, I guess I can just say the reason it's called Shine Naturally is because I just feel really passionate about people being comfortable in their own skin. And my life journey has been learning to love myself and accept myself and not settle for a standard of beauty that the world says is what is beautiful. And so it's a clean product that people can use on their skin so that they can yeah just be their best selves without trying to change who they are.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, beauty is, we have obviously the physical beauty, but what I think all of us as we get older, and I'm 62 years young, the internal beauty, the beauty that, is deeper than you don't judge a book by its cover. You got to get into the book. And for all of you out there that perhaps are struggling with depression for some reason, you have a beautiful spirit. Every human being does. So what Annie just mentioned, you don't need to, when you open up a magazine and everyone looks like they're in great shape and muscles and everything, that's not what makes a wonderful human being. So
Right.
thank you, Annie. And I can't wait to shine naturally with your product.
You already do, Mike.
Thank you. Well, now we're going to your other half because we know you're the better half. But the other half, I am so excited because when I saw Todd at our Raider alumni reunion, I was so excited because I knew we had so much in common. And obviously, Todd, your father and my father were both former professional athletes, very involved in our lives when we were young. And I'm so grateful that my dad was tough on me because I would have gone off the rails. I might have been when I said to people I lived in Folsom, they thought I was in the behind the bars, but I did live in Folsom one time and loved it there. But thank God my dad was tough. He gave me tough love, and I know you had an amazing father as well. And then we both played at Mater Dei, and my running back coach was Coach Rollinson, and my quarterback was Tim O'Hara, who's now, I think he's the offensive coordinator there now, and he coached a lot of great quarterbacks. And so you and I went to Mater Dei, and then, as I said, you went to the great USC Trojans that are playing the Bruins this weekend, and I went to Stanford, and we're playing the Bears. And then we both were drafted by Mr. Davis and the great Raider organization, which I'm really excited. Coach Pierce, who's also from Southern California, Long Beach Poly, he's doing a great job. He's got 2 wins under his belt. Hopefully they can get another one this weekend against the Dolphins. But putting all that aside, Todd, our audience would love to hear about what you've done in the past, obviously, what you're doing today and where you see the future. And what's really exciting, I love, and I'm going to put this up right now. I love what you're doing with your artwork too. So, bravo to you, Todd, because you are an amazing artist. And let me just see if I can get that up there. And go ahead, Todd. It's all yours, brother.
Thanks, Mike. It was sure a pleasure getting to meet you this summer in Vegas. And Annie is not a football connoisseur like we are, and so but her folks are huge Denver Bronco fans, and so when you gave me the flattering compliments of being in the caliber of the great John Elway, Annie relayed that to her folks, and I was humbled by your graciousness and all your comments, and it's always great to meet and hang out with the other players from other generations, and because there's a common bond, like you said, it doesn't matter what years we played. It's just what matters is that we play, and getting compliments from yourself and the likes of Ronnie Lott, Marcus Allen, other Trojans make make it the highlight of the year for me. Because I need that ego boost. No, I don't. But it is nice to be around other players. And when when you mentioned our similarities, my first um, thought was our dads were very similar. And what now that I'm a dad and I have a son, Baron, who's going to go into high school next year, is that the last thing I want to do to him is pull him in and out of high schools like what I had to go through. When I was at Mater Dei, my sophomore year, when my dad yanked me, I was just getting comfortable with the school and friends, and it was the last thing I wanted to do. Um, but like your dad, he had some knowledge about what it takes to play at the next level, and I did. I wanted to play college football, and his philosophy was if I stayed where I was at Mater Dei, I might not get a chance at that because of injury. And I didn't know. I just had to trust the old man, and I did. And as I get older, and now that he's passed, I find myself reflecting about my experience with him, and I am so grateful. He was from a different generation, like your father, and I think that the dictator role he wore that well, and it was his way or the highway mentality. And there were some hard experiences, growing up in that, but overall he taught me so much. And the more um, and the older I get, the more how grateful I am for the discipline that he instilled, and helping others. He was an amazing man, and I miss him dearly. Um, it was actually my first Hawaii experience. My dad got a job with the old, you'll remember this, Mike, the World Football League before this modern World Football League, where it was the Portland Storm. My uncle was uh, a coach for the Storm, but my dad got a job here in Hawaii. And so when I was 5, my sister, my mom, and dad, we lived on Oahu. And I knew then, going to school barefoot and being by the water, because I'm a beach guy, I knew that I didn't know it was going to take me 50 years to get back, though. I wish I made it back sooner, but better late than never.
Well said, Todd. As you were just talking about your father, my father also has transitioned, and he's up there with your dad. And I'm sure you're clapping, saying it's great that our boys have got together and appreciate the love that they had for us.
And you talked about the Edison Chargers, and one of my earliest football experiences was being a part of the 78-79 team as a ball boy for Coach Workman. And he was a family friend from my mom's side. And Bill was just a amazing human. And I was part of that. And people don't realize California high school football back then in the late 70s, it was Edison High School against Fountain Valley almost perennial every year, and for the CIF championship. And they had to move the championship to Stadium because of the huge crowds. And when you mentioned Frank Sire and Kerwin Bell, I was just a boy running the ball out onto the field and picking up the tee after the kickoff. And I knew then that I wanted to be like these guys. I was just kind of like Annie's son, Rye. He's at 9. And I can see myself in him, that I was totally all in when I got to see and feel what it's like to be on a team, and especially led by somebody as wise as Bill Workman. And so you're stoked you got that experience.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and you had the experience too because you were
Yes,
running in the ball as the ball boy, and so
yes.
you felt Coach Workman's presence. And by the way, speaking of another great Southern California high school player who went to Crespi, and he played at Stanford when you were at Cal, and he was also a member of the NFL alumni. JJ Lasley, he's watching right now, and he wants to say he just said hi. He said hi. Uh, Hello, Todd, and he loves your art. So Todd,
Awesome.
JJ Lasley loves your art. And again, if you want to purchase Todd's art, it's right there, MarinovicHart.com. So go ahead and talk about JJ.
Yes, and thanks, JJ. I appreciate it. And over the past few years, I do a lot of public speaking, and I my focus is towards young people through middle school and high school level, and I'm old now, and so those kids definitely don't remember when I played, and but some of their parents do, and I I used to think that when I was playing, that I had the best job in the world, and playing a game that I played as a boy for work was an experience. However, now is it doesn't even compare because I get to nobody's chasing me and nobody's trying to hurt me, so that's a plus. I don't I don't miss getting body slammed, Mike. I do miss the camaraderie with the guys, and but being able to create for people, and it is such a joy and an honor to when somebody contacts me and says they would like something, and I get to take their idea and create it, and knowing that um, this art is going to last longer than me. And what a cool uh, and I had no idea. I was an artist before I was an athlete. Early on, kindergarten, first grade, I couldn't wait for the art part of the day, and I couldn't wait for PE and recess. And it always felt to me like those two periods lasted maybe 5 minutes. Right when I got the paint and I was getting into it, they were telling us to clean up. And right when it felt like the game just began, they were calling us in, saying back to class. And so early on, I knew that my love was in athletics and also in art and expressing myself. And there's, and it's a win-win for me because now that I'm in recovery and getting to create with I use paintings mainly through expression, even though I do sculptures and stuff. It's a way to it's there's so much healing going on that I didn't even realize years ago when I was enjoying it so much. But it's a way to express myself without words, because sometimes these feelings I can't put to words, but I can use paint and color, and it is completely I'm addicted to color, and it's a healthy it's a much healthier addiction than ones I've chosen in the past. But to think I could paint um, under the influence was delusional, because painting is so instinctual and intuitive that I feel I've been doing it now 15 years, and I feel like I've just started to scratch the surface because I'm painting from a place of deep within myself. It could be the soul or the spirit, and it is magical to me, and if people also enjoy it and want to hang it in their home, what just it does, Mike. It doesn't get any better than what I get to do, and I'm super grateful.
Well, I'm looking at those beautiful paintings behind you.
Thank
I'm
you.
gravitating to both of them. Are they both available online, or are those in your personal collection, private collection?
I just did these the last few weeks, and you know, everything's for sale. What I do usually is when I paint something like these, I'll put it up in the house and live with it for a while because it's sometimes difficult to know when I'm done. But if I can live with it and I don't want to make any changes and I can walk by it and not cringe, um, then it's done. And then I'll put it on the website and see what happens. But yeah, it's I don't know I gotta just say, Mike, I do not know what I'm doing. I just do it. And it's similar with the game of football for me because I was creating out on the field, and I loved the improvisation of when because obviously we call plays in the huddle, but a lot of the time those those plays don't work, and so we have to make things happen. And I think great players definitely rise to the occasion when um, you have to go off the script. And so I still love watching players play. I don't necessarily, other than the Raiders and the Trojans, I really don't have a team where people trip out when I'm watching football with them because I always root for the offense. And so, like serious fans, you can imagine that they're looking at me like, who are you pulling for, Todd? And I'm really not pulling for any team. I'm I've been conditioned to think offensively, and so I'm always uh, critiquing and strategizing to help the offense score. But I'm a fan. I since my son now is he's all in, and what's funny is I tried to his whole life I tried to redirect him with all different sports. I gave him basketball, golf clubs, and he was just like, I don't. Um, he was focused and wants to play quarterback, which I wasn't a big fan of. It's one of the hardest and most challenging things to do. And Mike, I didn't want to play quarterback. I wanted to keep my mouth shut because I'm super quiet, especially when I was young, and I wanted to be a wide receiver and maybe catch a few passes and maybe a touchdown here and there, and then call it a day. But things worked out to where I was put in that position because of an injury, and I was good at it, and I was encouraged by family, and the rest is history. But so I'm supporting my son in a way that my dad was fully supportive, over the top supportive of me, and I'm taking his lead on that. However, there are things that I'm going to do differently with him, and I have done differently with him. And the biggest thing I want to do is support him no matter what, and let him know that nothing's going to change if he doesn't want to play football, and if it's not what he wants to do. But it seems like it is, and so my really my move to Hawaii was to give him an opportunity to have his own football experience because I was living in Orange County, as you know, Mike, and that's where I grew up and played. And having the name Marinovich and playing quarterback there in that area would have been unfair to him. So that inspired the move, and thank God I moved to Hawaii because I met Annie, and my life has changed drastically for the better.
Wow, that's just a great story, and I love that you and Annie have come together on the island and have joined your families, kind of like a Brady Bunch. You know, I love that movie, that show, The Brady Bunch, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I love what you're doing with your son. And you and Steve Young, the great 49er quarterback, BYU quarterback, Steve Young is coaching his two daughters, along with John Pay, who's an outstanding quarterback at Stanford. They're coaching flag football, which is going to be in the Olympics in Los Angeles in a few years from now. And both women and men. So I really think flag football, as Troy Vincent, the great NFL quarterback or defensive back, said, he said a year or two ago that the future of American football is flag football. So Todd, I think your son, that's awesome that he's on the islands and he likes football. But what do you think about this whole growth of flag football?
Wow, I love it. I played it, and I'm a huge fan for kids. And that's one of the first things that I did when I moved to Hawaii. There was a need in the community for something for the young kids to participate in, and I am strongly, and that's an understatement, against tackle football for use. And my first experience of flag was here in Hawaii when I was 6, and I played all the way up to my 8th grade year. And I did play tackle football too, and a lot of my friends did. And you know what the thing is, um, looking back on it, there was a big percentage, I would say probably 40% of the time, my group of friends, there would be a group of them that their mothers wouldn't allow, and this was probably true with you, Mike, and the moms would step in and say, "No, you're not playing tackle football." And back then, I had some bright ideas about that. And now that time has passed and there's science behind it and a lot of research done, I'm here to say that the moms were right. It is not safe. And there's a reason why we protect our youth from driving a vehicle until they're 16. And I don't think it's any different. It is asinine to strap a weapon, and it's a false sense of security on a young child's brain and encourage them to run into each other at high speeds. I don't care if they're 6 or 13. It is not, if I'm a parent, and I think, and I know the state of Texas would probably want me lynched. However, if the information was out there that it doesn't, because I was under the belief that kids can't generate enough force to cause any damage to their brain, and that's just not true. The brain is still developing, and so I could go on and on, Mike, and I don't want to get riled up about it, but I'm passionate about protecting my kids and other kids and spreading the truth, because I think parents would feel the same way I did if they only knew. I just don't think they know. I think they think it's safe. And all this talk about changing the rules, making it safer, Mike, you know this, that they can change all the rules they want, but there's still some high-speed collisions going on at every level, and it's dangerous. So I am and I'm passionate about this youth. And why are you so passionate about it? Well, I have lost a handful of close friends to the CTE, which is basically brain damage, and they've ended their life. And these are gentlemen, Junior Seau being the biggest name of these guys. But I have a long list of friends that aren't here on the planet anymore. And I feel that if I speak up, and I have to speak up about it, maybe we can save a few along the way.
Hallelujah and amen to that, Todd. I concur completely. John Madden, the great coach, came out before he passed saying that he put the age at 15 or 16. He said he wouldn't have kids playing until. I agree with you. I think between birth and 18 years of age, we don't let a 16-year-old go into 7-Eleven and buy a carton of cigarettes. We know nicotine is not going to be good for their health, but when they turn 18, if they want to smoke and it's on the label of the cigarettes. Well, the same as with a football helmet, to go and hit your head. That's just not safe. And when you get into when you become 18 and you want to put on a helmet, hopefully you know that you're doing something that's very dangerous. And so I agree with you, Todd. And that's why flag football. Go ahead.
Yes, and the last thing I'll say is people just don't know. And when I tell them that every year, like we just did, we get together in Las Vegas for the alumni, I ask players, did you let your child play? And I haven't gotten one yes of tackle football, youth tackle football. Yes, some let them play like I'm letting my son play when he gets into high school, but none of these players, the surprise on their face, like, why would I? That is a surprise to the normal parent that doesn't have experience with the game of football, but it speaks huge volumes to not one retired NFL football player let their son play tackle football. There's a reason.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and by the way, Christy Nils, who's watching right now, who was at USC when you were there, she just said, Todd, I hosted the USC event with David Webb, and that she dated David Webb through college, Christy. And
yes, and David was one of Mike, David was a close friend. He went to Irvine High School in Orange County, played against him, was a roommate of mine. And he's on the list of linebackers that are no longer with us and suffered from CTE. And of our championship team, and I was super privileged and stoked to be a part of a Rose Bowl, 1990 Rose Bowl champion, beating Michigan. 5 of our starting linebackers are no longer with us.
Yeah. Well, and I can name names as well. It's
Yes.
So there's no question. There's conclusive evidence that hitting your head too many times is not good for your health. And that's why, again, flag football, I think it's great that you're coaching your son and your kids in flag football as Steve Young is in California. So the other thing I wanted to mention, I kept thinking of Picasso, Vincent van Gogh, all those great artists. I mean, when I hear you talk, Todd, I really think that your art is beautiful, and how you integrate sports, your sports experience, your athletic experience into your art is just a beautiful thing. So I'm excited to go online and purchase one of your paintings.
Well, thank you. And but what's cool, I appreciate it, Mike, is that if you would like something, I love creating stuff for people. So all you have to do, if you don't see anything that you want a reproduction of, because some people just want to print, and that's fine too. But others, like myself, if I'm going to hang something, I want one that's only one of a kind. It makes it that much more special. And so I love doing commission work. So when I was in Vegas, I did 12 years ago, I did a painting of Marcus Allen, and I got to give it to him this summer. And I'll tell you what, I wish I had it so I could post it right now. His reaction. So this is I believe, one of the greatest football players to ever play the game. And to see his reaction when I gave it to him was why I paint. He said to me, Todd, and it was so authentic and genuine. He goes, "This is real art." And when I told him I had something for him, he thought in his mind's eye that it was going to be your typical number 32 in the uniform, really illustrated, and that's just not what I do. And when we started talking about how I paint, it's how Marcus played the game. He didn't. There was nothing scripted. I don't go into a painting say I'm going to paint this. The painting usually reveals itself, and I let go. And a lot of these principles that I paint with are principles for life, and it's accepting things the way they're going and not trying to control the issue, um, letting go, um, and trusting the process. And because throughout the painting process, it fluctuates and it looks great and then it doesn't. And kind of like life, there are times where things are rainbows, and then there are other times that it's super painful. And by practicing painting and being all in this process and trusting it, um, it usually works out well when I don't have a preconceived idea and go in and say, I want to paint this tree. Um, I just paint, and then whatever comes, comes.
Well, the way you're describing how you paint, it reminds me when I was on the sidelines back, I think it was in 1990, 89, 90, 91, when you were throwing the ball and I was on the sidelines at Stanford Stadium. And I just watched how just like, you take a paintbrush. Well, you were just throwing the ball in such a beautiful, if you could say a pass was a paint stroke, I was just mesmerized back then, and I'm sure your artwork is. I can't wait to order a painting. And your teammate, your center from USC, Brad Leggett, he wants a painting. So hopefully you'll connect with Brad. You have a message for Brad out there?
Well, Brad made it safe for me. So of course I have a special spot in my heart for all of the linemen. And that's something that I'm trying to convey to my son, is that you're only as good as the guys up front. We get far too much credit when the team does well, and the linemen get no praise usually by anybody watching or media. The only time they get pointed out is when they hold or cause a penalty. So it's not a glamorous position. But the big guys know that, and that's what's great about them. They don't care. They are the most team-oriented positions on any football team is the interior lineman, and that's where, as you know, Dot, that's where the games are won and lost. So thanks,
Absolutely.
Brad. He legs.
Absolutely. It's there's no way I could have been a running back without a great offensive line, and you couldn't have dropped back and thrown passes and touchdowns. And that's the great thing about American football, and rugby, because rugby came out of football. You can't do it by yourself. I think that I'm done with all the things I'm saying. There's just two things that I want to hand it off to you, because on the dot, we want you to have the last word, both of you. But I just want to say another thing we have in common before I hand it off to you is, Todd, you and I were both on the cover.
We have in common.
Oh yeah. Well, where's your USC hat? Do you have I guess see the California hat, right? Don't have a Trojan hat there?
Yeah, okay. I don't have a Trojan hat.
All right. Well, I'm going to put my Stanford hat on for the big game, and then I'll switch it off to my Raider hat. But the other thing that we have in common, we were both on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Did you know that?
Sports Illustrated. Why, I didn't know that, Mike.
Yeah, well, I know you were on the cover.
Show it?
Well, you know what? You're going to have to look it up. Yeah. I happen to be on the cover, not because of me, and I think you should do a painting of number 7. It's John Elway throwing, and I'm blocking. I've got my head down.
There you go.
So that's another.
Cool. Very cool.
And then I want to hand this off first to your beautiful partner, Annie, to talk about, and I love this, Annie, farm to face for your company, and I'm going to flash that down below so that people, if they want to order your amazing macadamia nut infused skin line. But I just want to hand it off to you to give you the last word. But I do want to say how grateful I am to have both of you on the dot, and I hope we can do this maybe every year. We can talk about something new. Yeah. And talk about your son Todd, or your children Annie. And again, I'm just so grateful. And with OnTheDot, you both get the last word to whatever message. You can go as long as you want. And thank you. And I guess I should say in Hawaiian, mahalo. Mahalo.
Yes. Thank you, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's really been nice getting to know you, and I'm really looking forward to reading your book as well. Yeah, our skin line from the farm is truly farm to face skincare. It's a pure product straight from what we grow on our farm. And check it out. And yeah, I think my message to people would be wherever you are on your journey of loving yourself, that keep going, because the world needs you. The world needs you to show up as you. So start shining.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Like I said, it was such a pleasure running into you, and absolutely, we can do this annually. It was such a pleasure, and I also I'm in the process of writing a book, and I finally listened to I would be a wealthy man if I had got a nickel for every person that said, Todd, I think you should write a book. And finally, now I have time, and I'm in a place where I'm seeing clearly, or I can't say that, I'm seeing more clearly, and I'm in a good spot physically, emotionally, and spiritually to put this stuff down and get it out to people that are interested, and to people in recovery. I think it used to be so taboo, having an issue with alcohol or drugs, and in today's world, everybody is affected by it. I don't think there's anybody that can't say that they either have a family member or a friend that is struggling. And the only thing that I've done right is I keep trying, and all I have is today, and I'm just so grateful that I'm here, and can share my story, and I'm always willing to do that and to help somebody in need. So the message is fighting on, and we'll leave it with the Trojans. It's a huge week, and I know, Mike, it's the rally cry for the Trojans, and it is. And I continue to fight on. And thanks again, Mike.